I just want to say thank you for coming, Melissa, Kenny's wife. Good to see you.
Just make sure you behave.
That's a great event.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Michael.
What's your last name? But that's okay. You always have extra seats. You're actually going to get a better table this way.
Look at this march. I mean, the red fish and unbelievable.
They're like terrified to go. That being said, it's mainly because like they're crouching and
It's coming back.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 9th Annual Breakfast for Champions. Thank you for being here, braving the traffic. This has become a tremendous annual tradition. We have the Super Bowl, we have Spring Spirits, Annual Breakfast of Champions, which this year, by the way, happens to fall on the Lunar New Year, so happy Chinese New Year to y'all. And of course, after which we have spring training. So it's become an important tradition and event on our calendars and in the sporting world's calendars. My name is Shernmin Chow. I'm a faithful KHOU 11 news correspondent and former Spring Spirit board member and very proud Spring Branch ISD mom. I'm probably almost as proud, thank you, as the mom of Ricardo Herrera, who is almost 9 years old. Thank you very much. He is a Spring Spirit participant, and he will be here to start off our morning prayer. Good morning, Ricardo.
Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you so much for this morning and for all these people who care so much about Spring Spirit. God, I thank you for each volunteer, mentor, staff member, and donor and friend of Spring Spirit for making a place for me and for my friends to learn about you. to grow into good and strong people. Please bless our food and bless each person here. We love you. Amen.
Thank you, Ricardo. Please go ahead and enjoy your breakfast and visit with your friends for the next couple of minutes, and then we will be back shortly to resume the program. Thank you. I'm going to ask you all to look this way because I want to take your picture. And then I want to send it out to the Twitter sphere. As I tell folks, if you're not supposed to be here, look away. It's a pano, so I'm going to move across this way, and the important thing is nobody moves, or then you look kind of funny. You got to stand still. That's right, Reed Ryan. Everybody smile. Hi, Jose, good morning. Oh, he waved, he moved. And we're almost done. And this way, we will tweet you all out. Let's see. Oh, you look beautiful. You are a handsome lot. Thank you. It is a real pleasure to see so many familiar faces and some new ones here at our annual breakfast. And I want to begin by saying thank you to everyone who has made this possible. That includes, of course, the Spring Spirit Young Professionals, Friends of Spring Spirit, and especially, of course, our breakfast co-chairs, Mary Beth and Jason Martinez, and our honorary breakfast co-chairs yet again, the ever-faithful Kara and Lance Berkman. Mary Beth, Jason, Kara, and Lance, will you stand, please, so we can give you a little round of applause and recognize you. We also want to thank, of course, our generous underwriters for today's breakfast. Please take a look at the slides and on your programs. And if you run into our underwriters, please take a moment to say thank you to them, shake their hand, let them know how much they are appreciated, because this morning and the work of Spring Spirit would not be possible without all of our sponsors and all of you. But most importantly, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Citgo. I think Jerry brought his boss today to say hi to us. General Manager, thank you for being with us. This has been a remarkable partnership for us. Not only has Citgo stepped up to make this morning possible, but Citgo has also financially supported Spring Spirit's education programs since 2014, an early player for us. They've helped to expose Spring Spirit kids to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. The enrichment opportunities there, sponsored baseball clinics. You may have seen them out at our Spring Spirit sports facility with Houston Astros, Jose Altuve, great batting coach there for the kids. They are an amazing partner, investing in the kids and families of our community. We cannot thank them enough. Please take a minute to take a look at some of the footage from one of the most recent clinics.
Ready for some baseball today? Yeah, I guess let's do it. Okay, you want the ball coming to you. You want to make the play. Fly ball. Okay. Got it. Jesus.
Thank you again, Sitco. Our children and our families, so lucky to have great role models like you all, Sitco's leadership, and of course, Jose, to invest in our community. So for those of you who may be new to us this morning, baseball is just one of the many things that Spring Spirit does. We welcome 600 kids a week, over 2,000 a year, to help them overcome whatever odds might be stacked against them, to help them grow into well-rounded adults. Spring Spirit offers one-on-one mentoring, Christian teaching, sports instruction in baseball, soccer, softball, and intensive educational support. Read after-school tutoring. It has become a second home for the community, a local landmark with a sports facility and community center in Spring Branch's North End. Take a look.
I've been a part of Spring Spirit since the very first day. Kenny Baldwin invited me. It wasn't really a name yet, but it eventually became Spring Spirit. Growing up in this neighborhood and going to Hollybrook Elementary, I had people who cared for me. I had principals and music teachers. Spring Spirit does that for the students in this neighborhood. Looking back on it 8 years later, we've had a lot of fun.
From our very modest beginnings with 9 kids, we are now serving 800 plus different kids every week. We have been really blessed with a ton of volunteers and building great relationships in the community, building relationships with the kids and showing them that we really love them.
All the aspects have grown. We've got students working, they're working after school, they're in tutorials, they're learning languages. The Spirit piece has grown immensely. We have gym night, and now we've got FNL, and now we've got Cornerstone, and there's so many people who want to come out and speak to the students about Jesus and what is God like and how is God going to impact their lives. The coaches here at Spring Spirit are excellent, and that means that the kids are going to get good, and they're going to get good fast.
But I see them engaging in a much more proactive, intentional way, and it just warms my heart.
Schools are a reflection of their community, and so to improve schools, you also have to build up communities. And I think what happens with something like Spring Spirit and with the investment that Spring Spirit has made in this area of the school district, it's building up the community that then allows us to greatly improve the educational experience for all the students in the area.
Many of the students here in Spring Branch, they're labeled at risk. So when they show up, they're learning to be better students. They're learning to be caregivers of each other. When the parents come to meetings, they're learning how to connect with their children because it's difficult and we know they're struggling. And together the families are no longer at risk. They're learning that God is there with them and whatever they're gonna face with God and they're not gonna fail.
Spring Spirit is the best team for my family and always keep my kids busy because they love this play, because they learn baseball and they learn about God and they love this play.
We've got students who are helping me dig in the dirt on day one, and today they're leading Bible study, they're leading educational tutorials, they're leading the sports.
Just by following people and seeing how they used to volunteer made me want to do it even more. And for me, teaching them to do more and to go the extra mile, it helped me a lot, and I see the kids grow through that.
One of my favorite things about being Jasmine's mentor is being able to show her some of her potential. She's really smart, really bright, really athletic, and having a person to come alongside her and encourage her in those gifts, I think helps her accomplish some of the things that she didn't know she was capable of.
Spring Branch, as a school district, we serve 35,300 students. We're a majority-minority district. 57% of our children come from families of poverty. 33% of our students were born not speaking the English language. As a public school entity, it's difficult for us to meet the holistic needs of our children. And so to have a community that supports the work of the school district and understands that not only that they have a place, but they serve that place. This community wants to be a part of the total solution for the children that we have.
People are drawn to a place where they can experience community, and it gives kids a place to come where they know they're going to be loved, they know they're going to be supported, and the staff here does a great job of that.
My husband and I came to visit Spring Spirit, and we saw the hunger of the children for God. and I have seen children's lives being changed.
Well, I think we all have a platform the Lord gives us depending on our talents and abilities, and I think we have a responsibility to try to leverage that talent for His kingdom and kingdom work. And I think that whenever you can combine your passion with doing the Lord's work, that is something that is special, and that's when you become most effective as a minister of the gospel.
We've got to really steward the 800 kids that are coming right now without adding more staff and more resources. So it's, we have to rely on the volunteers, and we're going to rely on the community to take ownership and say the community owns this place.
I'm very grateful for organizations such as Spring Spirit Baseball that step up and not only accept the challenge, but they become a part of the solution. And this doesn't happen across our country, but it happens in Spring Branch Independent School District.
We have a great opportunity in front of us because we've got a great team, a great board, great stakeholders to support it. For the 800 kids that are coming here on a regular basis now, we have a responsibility to really make a difference in their lives. And that's what we're going to do.
First, our Spring Spirit family grew as this year we have added a Chief Operating Officer, Jay Davis. Jay, will you please stand? Where is Jay? Any problems, go talk to him. Our programs also continue to grow, allowing us more opportunities to really get to know the children we serve and to help them in tangible ways. So one exciting addition this year is our STEM program. A group of children have been able to conceptualize and design a way to protect an existing wildlife habitat from a new highway. They competed in a national competition and won first place, so congratulations. Also proud to announce that our students are making great strides in their educational dreams. We've started to see more and more kids interested in and earnestly preparing for life after high school. The Cal Ripken Senior Foundation held a national search for one college scholarship recipient. Of the 5 finalists, 3, thank you very much, were Spring Spirit students, and our very own Bessie Banegas will be headed to Baltimore at the end of this month to accept the prestigious award. Congratulations to Bessie. After 9 years, we are excited to see the beginnings of real lasting change in these children, improved grades, a tremendous work ethic, a love of God, and students applying for and being accepted into and attending college, many for the first time in their families. Excuse me. We are teaching these kids about their God-given value and their potential, something that can only be done with the help of all of you. So today's honorees, David and Lisa Miller, and Bob Pileggi and the Medallion Foundation, I just learned that Bob is a neighbor, by the way, have stepped up in huge ways to help move our mission forward. They've been part of the Spring Spirit Network since the very early days and are 2 shining examples of the amazing network of folks who've come together to help make our mission possible. Please take a minute to hear their stories about how Spring Spirit has impacted their lives and the amazing mark they have made on our community.
The Medallion Foundation has probably been the greatest supporter of Spring Spirit of all the ones we have. They have been generous. They have not asked for recognition. They've supported us at the slightest project and at the largest projects that we've had. And when you have somebody that's so dependable and so supportive, it's hard to find people like the Medallion Foundation. And Bob Pelagi.
So this work that we do is not easy. In fact, sometimes it's really hard, and you can run into headwinds, and we've had our fair share of headwinds, but when you find a relationship like the Medallion Foundation and Mr. Pelagi, who really believe in what you're doing, they become the wind beneath your wings. They are just really, really all about the children, which allows us to know that when we have a need, we can reach out to them, and they're gonna join us in achieving our mission.
My oldest son, Tony, told me he wanted us to meet with Kenny, and he came in and sat down at our conference room with myself and a few other board members and told us about what his plans were. And we decided if we could help, we wanted to help. But just seeing how the fields have changed and how he's added more and more, and seeing how many children are here. I know they started with, I believe, 9, and what he's got today. It's here, it's unbelievable. You know, foundations, when you give away money, it's hard. You want to make sure you give away your dollars to people who are good stewards of your money. And Spring Spirit is a very good steward of your money. And they will take care of it, and they make sure the kids are taken care of. And I think any dollar you can give, you should give it.
I know that you all are familiar with the Good Samaritan story from the Bible. Well, let me tell you, David, it's the best example of this. I wish everybody would have the compassionate heart that David has. And I wish we have more people like David at Spring Spirit.
The word that comes to mind every time I think about him is an example of so many things to so many different people. I mean, he's been a board member since the beginning. He's been a financial donor since the beginning. He's provided legal advice to us when we needed it along the way. He was one of the first mentors, and he's still a mentor, and he really helped create the strategy for mentoring. For me, he's an example of what it really means to walk in your faith.
Well, early on, and really until not that long ago, I helped coach teams, had been a mentor, and I was lucky enough to be asked to come along the journey. And it's been a great thing for me, personally.
It's been a real answered prayer for him, that it was something that he felt strongly about and wanted to do something important. You get a sense that God has blessed Spring Spirit and made it a very important asset to this community.
There are a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts that we have here. The biggest part of it is the folks that help us with their generosity and their contributions, because without them, we're a shell, we're nothing. You know, Spring Spirit has helped me grow because it's allowed me to help kids and help this community. Interacting with the folks out here, it's good families, it's good people. What we do is making a difference in their lives.
Folks to step up to the stage now, Bob, Lisa, David, Kenny, and Jay. I think we're just gonna have a quick photo op.
We have a little something for you, Mr. Pelagi, and for the Millers. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
You are now in for a very special treat. Our Spring Spirit graduate, Brenda Rivera. She comes to share her personal story with you. Each year, we try to give you an up-close front row seat to the impact that you are all making on our children's lives. Lots of stories to tell, and we are very grateful that Brenda has agreed to share hers. Ladies and gentlemen, Brenda Rivera.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Good morning. If you have been to our Breakfast for Champions before, you have heard students speak about what Spring Spirit has meant to them. But I'm not here because my story is much like of what you've heard before. You see, so many of my friends and colleagues at Spring Spirit have had a hard life, a really hard life. I have friends who have grown up around drugs their whole life and who have alcoholic and abusive parents. But my story is different. Spring Spirit didn't need to pull me out of a ditch like they do for so many kids. Spring Spirit instead gave me the highway to achieve my dreams. I came to the United States when I was 7 years old from El Salvador. In El Salvador, my family and I lived in a really small town that was really, really poor. It wasn't safe. There were lots of murders and gang violence, and my parents wanted better. They wanted the American dream for us. So we came to America, and my parents found jobs. For as long as I can remember, they both have always had 2 jobs. My dad painted houses and washed dishes. My mom did laundry at the Houston Racquet Club and then cleaned houses during her days off. It was always a priority for my parents that my siblings and I do well in school. It's what they had sacrificed everything for, and what they weren't able to have for themselves. My dad has a 7th grade education, and while my mom did finish high school, she couldn't pursue her dream of going to college because it was so expensive. My parents wanted more than anything for my siblings and I to do well in school so we could go on to college. I wanted that for myself too. But I had to figure out how to be successful largely on my own. My parents weren't around much to help with homework, and even when they weren't able to help because they didn't speak English. So my siblings and I would band together. My older sister would help us with homework and cook for us while my parents were out working. But even with them being absent so they could provide for us, there was a phrase that my parents told me over and over again. Ponte las pilas, ponte las pilas, ponte las pilas. It's hard to translate it, but it roughly means work hard and keep moving. Keep moving. Over and over again, they would tell us that. And that's how they mostly supported and encouraged us. Luckily for me, I got to be a part of the founding of Spring Spirit when I was 15 years old. I wish Spring Spirit had been around when I was younger because I know I would have really loved it as a little kid. I've always made school a priority in my life, but if I had had Spring Spirit earlier, I could have been more physically active and learned about my faith even earlier. Still, as a high schooler, it was a treat to have a place to go where I could go volunteer and invest in the kids and in the families in my community. I would do whatever they needed to be done. In the beginning, I helped dig in the dirt to repair the fields or repair picnic tables, and later, I ended up tutoring and then actually leading some of the education programs. Eventually, I ended up being hired as a mentor coordinator as I prepared to get my degree in teaching. I am proud to say that I am the first of my siblings to graduate with a bachelor's degree from a 4-year university. I graduated magna cum laude from the University of Houston this past December with my degree in teaching. I couldn't be more proud of myself. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. But the path wasn't always easy, and I came very close to giving up on that dream. You see, my second semester as a junior at U of H was difficult. I was taking 18 hours, 2 of my classes being the most rigorous teaching classes that I had to take. I was getting field experience for 10 hours at an elementary school weekly, and I was working at Spring Spirit 20 hours, and on top of that, I had a large amount of homework and readings. Everything just became too much too fast. I was overwhelmed and doubting my abilities of what I could become. Not only was I overwhelmed from everything that I was doing for school and work, but I was also discouraged because I was placed in a teaching environment that was not beneficial to me. I was always stressed, and I felt like I had lost control. There were many times that I ranted and cried to my friends and to some of my close coworkers. I recall talking to Kenny about what I was struggling with, and he just listened and put everything into perspective. He encouraged me that I could use this as a learning experience of what kind of teacher I knew I didn't want to be. How sometimes we have to persevere through the difficult times, but everything will be worth it in the end. While I cried, Kenny prayed with me and for me for God to be with me during my trying times. The support that I had from my family, my colleagues, my mentees, and the kids really helped me realize that I have a purpose, and I had to finish. If it hadn't been for Spring Spirit, I would have given up on my dream of being a teacher. But now, I am excited to look to my future, where I will start working at a school, possibly teaching 2nd or 3rd graders. My hope is to really get to know my students, to be able to help them out no matter what struggles they're going through, to be able to help their parents realize how important education is, and to help my students realize that they can do it no matter what. Ponte las pilas, ponte las pilas. Work hard and keep moving, keep moving. In short, I want to do for my students what Spring Spirit has done for me. Ponte las pilas, work hard and keep moving. Thank you for being here this morning and for letting me tell my story. And thank you for supporting Spring Spirit in any way you can. It is people like you who give hope to kids who are like me. I am proud to say that because of people like you, I was lucky enough to receive the hope. And now I will get to join you as someone who gets to give hope. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you to all who have supported Spring Spirit. I'm Jason Martinez, and my wife, Mary Beth, and I are honored with the Berkmans to be chairs of this year's breakfast. Despite some nerves about standing up here, we know that being at the plate before Berkman and Altuve has generally turned out okay. I think Biggio and Springer would probably agree. Mary Beth and I have supported Spring Spirit's ministry for many years because of all the stories like Brenda's. I want to talk to you about why I think you should support Spring Spirit. I think the why is as important as the how. But first, Mary Beth will talk about how to support the mission.
Good morning. Everybody, please grab a pledge card, which is on your table, so you can follow along. I'm going to talk about 4 ways that you can support Spring Spirit this morning. The first way, a general donation. I know that comes as a tremendous shock. Any amount is great. You can see on the pledge card all the ways that Spring Spirit is able to stretch your dollars to serve these kids, as you've heard about this morning. And a quick request, please be sure to indicate if your company is able to match a donation. The second how, and new for this year, you can sign up to sponsor a child. This gift provides the holistic support that you heard about this morning in the videos and from Brenda. When you sign up for Sponsor a Child, you'll receive a picture of the child you're sponsoring and 2 letters a year from them, updating you on how things are going. This is a $960 option, less than $20 a week, or as my husband helpfully pointed out earlier, less than I spend on cappuccinos a week, to which I helpfully pointed out, happy wife, happy life. But I digress. The last 2 ways you can help are critical to scaling the mission of Spring Spirit. We always need additional volunteers, both as mentors and for our reading program. If you check these 2 boxes, we'll get back to you with more information. And during today's breakfast, we want to especially encourage financial donors. our presenting sponsor, Citgo, has offered their 14-person suite at Minute Maid Park for one lucky winner to use as their very own for a game next season. So, for every $500 increment that you donate this morning, your name will be put in once to win this great prize. And we'll even round up. So if you choose to do the Sponsor a Child pledge for $960, that will count as 2 raffle tickets. So let's go through the math. $500 is 1 ticket. $1,000 or Sponsor a Child is 2 tickets in the raffle. $5,000 is 10 tickets. And for $50,000, that's 100 tickets plus, and this is big, Kenny will never ask you to be breakfast chair. This drawing will be done on Facebook Live later this week, and the winner will be notified. Last thing, we'd like to invite folks to come out and see the magic firsthand at Spring Spirit. There are going to be 3 open houses over the next several weeks where you can visit. Full information on the times is on the screens around you. And all of these are family friendly, so we hope you'll bring your spouse, your kids, a friend, and join us. RSVPs go to Allison Young. Her information is on the screen. Jason?
Now a bit on the why. Why support Spring Spirit financially? Why does it matter to you? Let me start with an analogy from New York pastor and author Tim Keller. Suppose you're in a bad financial situation. You turn to your friend and say, I need $100,000. I'll pay you back. Your friend says, I'll give you the money, no problem. Pay back only what you can. I just want you to be generous with other people as you're able to. He didn't say, pay me back. He didn't ask why I was in trouble. He didn't question whether I deserved it. And that is grace in money terms. We've been given not because we did anything to deserve it. And all he asked was that we be his friend and be generous with others. And over the years, I've read a lot of books on philosophy and spirituality of money, not the business school stuff or the personal finance or the banker school training things I went to, but the stuff that gets to the true soul of money and its purpose in our lives, and perhaps in some way my own purpose. What I've come to understand is that how I spend my money is the ultimate reflection of my own commitments and values. It's one of the ways I serve others. It's important for me because it's the right response to God's grace in my own life. Now, I know those are fairly deep concepts for a Tuesday morning over juice and eggs. So let's bring this closer to home. When the calling was obvious and serving others was really a no-brainer, giving was easy to do. Hurricane Harvey. Rain was falling, water had to go somewhere, and the difference between who was impacted and who wasn't was just geography. Our community jumped into action, and for all of those like me who weren't affected, we felt grateful, we felt lucky. I myself felt an obligation to help others. I knew my money and my labor would make a difference, and I knew how to help. We saw complete strangers helping others. Our own Spring Spirit families actually mucked houses, cooked meals for those that were affected, and raised their own money, $10,000 that was distributed. We saw people that were flooded finding ways to help their neighbors, even in the midst of their own hardships. Bottom line, we used our resources to reflect our true commitments and values. We knew we needed to help, we knew we could make a difference, and we acted as one. We're asking you today to bring some of that sense of community to Spring Spirit and share your abundance, because the reality is it isn't only when there is a Hurricane Harvey that the community needs you and that you can make a difference. As you've heard this morning, Spring Spirit is doing great things, changing lives and transforming the entire community of North Spring Branch, child by child, family by family. So please respond to God's grace in your own life. Support Spring Spirit this morning. And for those of you who have already been so generous to get us where we are, thank you. When you're done with your pledge cards, please hold them up and a Spring Spirit student will come and get you. Get the card. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason and Mary Beth. Next cappuccino is on me, Mary Beth. And now, we get to hear from one of Spring Spirit's biggest fans and supporters, our keynote speaker, the current second baseman for the Houston Astros, Jose Altuve. I don't think there is a child, an adult in this town that doesn't know the broad strokes of Jose's stories. He knows firsthand the value of hard work and determination growing up in Venezuela. Jose was initially told that he was too short to play baseball. I think maybe even couldn't get a tryout initially, I believe. He persisted, and well, the rest is history. Signed a contract with the Houston Astros, helped lead them to victory in 2017 World Series champions. Thank you very much. And today we'll be interviewed by former Houston Astro, fellow World Series champion, and Spring Spirit board member, our own Lance Berkman. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lance and Jose.
Oh, café, Jose. Bueno. Hasta la vista, bros.
I'm detecting notes of unrefinement.
So uncivilized.
And he drills one down the left field line. Fair ball. He'll be waved home. Alex Bregman, we're tied at 2. The infield in with 1 out. Around a bunt, and he gets it down. Altuve head first line safe. Astros take a 3-2 lead. Altuve drives one deep to left field. This game is tied. Jose Altuve, number 27.
You're in trouble.
Now a drive to left for Altuve. Back is Brantley looking up, and that ball's gone. The Astros go back-to-back in the 5th. Springer, then Altuve. 4-0 Houston.
That ball's crushed. 3 in a row. Another one on the train tracks. For the second time tonight, train 27 has just left Union Station.
Well, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm not actually going to interview Jose, but you can watch this video of me interviewing Jose if you'll turn your attention to the screen. So, Jose, welcome. Thank you for being willing to do this. I know that this, not only this morning, but you've been volunteering out at Spring Spirit. You've done several events out there, so really appreciated. Gives those kids somebody to look up to. It's really important for them to have a role model that they can model themselves after, and you're certainly that. So tell us a little bit about your childhood in Venezuela. You know, over here in the States, obviously, you know, you play select summer ball, and then you play in high school, and then, you know, some guys play in college. But tell us how it is in Venezuela. Like, how do you go from a little kid to the major leagues? Like, what's the process like there?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And childhood back in Venezuela was fun. You know, I grew up in a very poor family as well as most of the people there. But I had a lot of fun playing baseball. My dad, he was a big baseball fan. So actually, the day I was born, he told me he was in a baseball game. So they have to, they call him and they say, hey, you having your first son, and then he got to go to the.
He was like, wait for my at bat to be over with, and then right.
No, he wasn't playing. He was just watching the game.
Oh, I got you.
Even worse.
Well, then wait for this game to be over with, and I'll go to the hospital.
And I think that's the reason why I love baseball, and that's my passion. But you know, growing up, I played baseball. Then when I was around 14, 15 years old, I realized that I really wanted to do it. You know, and my dad and my mother were okay, go ahead, but if you really want to play, you have to be the best, and not better than other people, better than you every single day. So that means a lot to me. And then I you know, went after. I got my first tryout with the Astros when I was 16. It was the only team that wanted to try me out. But they cut me the very first day.
Yeah, that must have been the 100-loss Astros that. Yeah.
And then, you know, I came back the next day because my dad told me to come back. You I didn't know why. Why do you want me to come back? They just tell us to go home the very first day.
Did you like come back with another name? Like, because we had a picture, we had a picture from Venezuela that was actually somebody else and was 2 years older. So
I came back with another pants and t-shirt.
I got you. Just changed outfits, and then they said, "Oh, that guy looks pretty good." Okay. So at that time, so there's like no high school or anything like that, or it's just academies.
It's a lot of different than here.
Right.
You play high school, then you can get drafted.
Right.
As a high school, and then go to college. And back then, you just play your own, and you just go to high school for student, and then you have to find a way to play baseball in your own beside, separate to high school. That's what it makes it even harder for us to find a tryout, because you have to find it on your own. And every time my dad, and I remember this, my dad telling the scouts, "Hey, I have a guy that I want you to look up," and their answer was like, "I hope that it's not the guy next to you," because I was like really sure. And I was like, "Yeah, he is, but he's good."
Right.
And so they cut me off even before trying me out.
They didn't even watch you swing, huh?
No, never.
So when you finally did get signed by the Astros and you enter in the minor leagues, and I mean, I know that the minor leagues, that stinks. That's a bad way to try to make a living, is playing minor league baseball. Tell us about kind of your journey through the Astros system, and when you got to, how you got that call up and all that.
So for some reason, I knew that what I needed was an opportunity for just a big league team, and I have so much confidence on myself, and thanks God for the family that He gave me, because they encourage me and they support me every single day, and that creates some kind of like I said, confidence on myself. So I knew that as soon as I get to the minor leagues, I was going to be able to keep moving forward. And my first year in minor league, I played in Greenville, Tennessee, with the Astros, and I thought I have a good season. But the very next year, they sent me back there, so that was kind of like one of the hardest things for me to improve, to get rid of, because all my teams, they keep moving forward while I was staying in the same league. And you might know how hard and how difficult it is they basically telling you, okay, you just lost a year, you got to go back there. And I called my dad and I said, "Hey, I can't handle this anymore." And I was expecting him to, be kind of like crying. I was like, no, don't do it. But he was very straight with me. He said, "Okay, just come here and then just quit your dreams." And he, hung out the phone. And I don't know why, but that gave me like another breath, another opportunity.
Good confidence.
Yeah, good confidence. And I went there and played a game.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, and not saying anything, when you play like Jose, a position that's second base, like if you're an all-star shortstop or that caliber defender, you can move through the system. Or if you're a big lug that hits the ball at the ballpark consistently, you can move through the system. But when you're a guy like Jose, you absolutely have to hit. I mean, hit at every level, and there's really no margin for error. So it's remarkable, that a guy like that can come through the minor league system and fight his way to the major leagues based on hitting ability. And I don't know. I would like to pick your brain a little bit while we're up here, talking about a little bit your hitting approach and philosophy, because it seems to me like you're swinging at the thrown ball and you can hit pretty much anything that comes up there. So, like when you go to the plate and you are, you're about to take an at bat, like what's going through your mind? What's your approach to hitting?
Well, I think, and you know this better than me because you play longer than what I have played right now. But you have to know yourself as a hitter or as a whole player. So I can't try to be George Springer or Carlos Correa or Alex Bregman. You have to be who you are. And I find out that I have like Springer's abilities, hit for power. Correa is more like an overall player. So I found myself in the position where I realized that, okay, I can put the ball in play. So early in the account, I tried to be aggressive and try to drive the ball like gap to gap, a little deeper in the count, just try to put the ball in play because I can run a little bit and everything I put on play, they almost have to make a perfect play to get me out on first day.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem. I had to hit the ball a long way. So you're middle of the field. You're going up there early in the count. You're trying to drive the ball. You get it up in the count. You're looking to do some damage, and then as
we have our hitting coach here, so he can tell you too.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Maybe I should be interviewing him about that. So one thing I wanted to ask you about, you've led off some, and you've hit third. Can you tell us what the difference is between hitting at the top of the order versus hitting in the middle of the order? Because I know there's the way the pitchers approach those middle of the order hitters is a lot different a lot of times than the leadoff guy.
Yeah, you can tell. I don't know why. Even when you're the same player, if you lead enough or you hit in third, they treat you different. So the difference is more what they do to you than what you have to do. So you see maybe more breaking balls when you are hitting third or fourth. Leading off, it's like they want to get you out because they don't want the first hitter in the game on first base already. So you see more fastball, which is good.
Yeah. So would you say is it easier to hit in the leadoff?
No, I'm not saying easier. They all.
I'm going to say it is easier.
Well,
you
said it.
I'm going to tell Biz.
Do you ever lead off? Did you ever lead off?
I led off one game in my big league career.
What do you do?
2 homers. No joke. Against the Dodgers, you can look it up. So let's pause 30 seconds for an advertisement here. You've had a long-standing relationship with Citgo, and Citgo has been an incredible supporter of Spring Spirit, and in fact is the presenting sponsor of this year's Breakfast for Champions. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Citgo and why you teamed with them to help our kids at Spring Spirit.
So I started a while ago when they have the big Citgo sign on the field.
Right.
And I had one of these good years, and then through the team, I met them.
And they said, hey, quit hitting our sign?
No, I don't hit that far. And then, they do a lot of stuff for their community, and, since they are from my country, so I thought it was a good idea to work together.
Great. So speaking of the facility out there at Spring Spirit, I don't know if you said anything about that or not, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. Is there a highlight for you? I know you've been out there with the kids and you've done some clinics. Do you have one thing that stands out about your time at Spring Spirit?
Well, yes, because when I see those kids, I see myself, back in the days. And I remember me as a kid having the opportunity to be in a baseball clinic with Omar Vizquel, which was one of my favorite players. And I remember I was really happy, and I was listening to see what kind I learned from him. So every time I go there, I try to put a lot of effort on teaching them little details, and maybe more than baseball too. If I can help them to be good, not only on the field but off the field, which is maybe more important than be better on the field. So I'm going to feel like I made my job. If I only can help one kid every day I go there, I feel like I make my dream, and that's how you need to live the life. Try to help people like everybody here. I'm pretty sure they help. This case way more than me. So.
Well, how has your faith played a role in that? Your faith in God, how has that helped you in your career, and how does that motivate you to want to help other people?
Well, so I grew up in a family that really believed in God, and my wife, which is at home, she is really Christian, and she have taught me that you can do anything without God. And I believe it or not, I feel how God have led me through good and bad, and have every time I go this way, He get me back in this one. Mm-hmm. And if I'm that's a daily basis, and I have made some big mistakes in my life, but the beautiful thing about it is that He gave me another opportunity to come back, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna keep making mistakes because it's really hard not to. But I really want another opportunity to get in the way.
Yeah, the God of second chances. That's great. So talk a little bit about this year's team. I know, some guys sort of have gone different directions. Like I think Keichel's not coming back. I don't know if Marwin's coming back.
Well, we don't know yet.
Well, I'm just saying, like there's the potential that the team could look a little different this year than it has the last couple of years. So talk a little bit about what you see from this year's team and what you're excited about for this coming year.
Well, it's easy to say this because I play with the Astros, but when I get to play and I was around these guys like Bregman, Springer, Correa, Reddick, we have the best team in the league. No any other team has so many good players in one team like us. There is a couple good players like Mike Trout, Machado, but they're the only one in their team. So if we see, if you see around the Houston Astros, we got Bregman, Springer, Verlander, Gurriel, so the whole 25 are really good. And I hope Dallas and Marwin come back, but if not, we're still going to be a good team.
Okay. So we can, what about Boston? They seem like they have a pretty good team.
Nah. I don't like them. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I hate the Red Sox. So you talked about Carlos Correa. You guys seem to have a kind of a special relationship, a lot of chemistry. Obviously, that's kind of the middle of the infield, double play partners. You got this elaborate, famous handshake. So talk a little bit about, the way you guys sort of feed off of one another and make each other better players.
So what I realized about him, that when he got to the big league, he was only 20, 21 maybe, and he looked like he was, 30 years old. Not because but it's how smart and how mature he was playing the game. You normally when you're that young, you get a little nervous, like I am right now. It's harder to speak in front of a lot of people than play.
Well, you're doing a good job. Really good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gave me confidence. Yeah. So he's really smart. He comes every day to the field to try to get better. That's the point. And that's what I have a lot of confidence on him, like every other player on my team. That it's like they go at that and they try to do good, but the main thing is help the team to win. So we all are in the same page, and I think that's why we won the World Series. And last year we have another good year. We have some injuries, but this year we're healthy again and we're going after again.
Great. So now maybe some lighthearted. What time is this thing over with, Kenny? 9 o'clock. Wrap it up. Okay. Let's wrap it up with a couple of questions that I'm sure people like to hear because I get questions like this all the time. What's your favorite ballpark to go to?
So Anaheim.
You like Anaheim?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that just because you've done well there, or do you just like the Southern California climate? Yeah.
But the weather is always nice there.
Right.
And I play good though.
Right. So what's your least favorite place?
Oakland.
Yeah, that's a dump. My least favorite place was Wrigley Field, and if they need somebody to blow that place up, I'll volunteer to push the button. Because you could never get hits there. The infield, they're growing lettuce in the infield. The wind's blowing in 100 miles an hour. I mean, you had to hit the ball perfect to get a base hit. Pitchers, who do you when you hear that they're pitching, you're going to be in for a tough day. Who's tough on you?
So a couple of guys, Chris Sale, Scherzer from.
Oh yeah, Scherzer's tough.
Kluber.
Well, I saw you take him deep. We just had a.
Yeah, that's my first home run.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And just a couple more guys on the league.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're in the big leagues, they can give you some trouble. So. All right, we'll end with this. What do you think's harder, getting hits in 9 straight at bats like you did last year, which is remarkable?
I thought it was 10.
Maybe it was. I didn't write this. They shortchanged it. Or getting 6 hits in one game like Springer did against the A's?
Wow, probably 6 hits. in
No
one game.
chance. 10 straight hits. I mean, that's like 4 for 4, 4 for 4, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Jose Altuve, ladies and gentlemen.